now on at least. So yeah, Jitto, take lead.
Yeah, so there was a lot of action this week, a lot of drama. Title race is going to the last week. Some of the teams slipping Champions League battles. So as of now, I think only the Bundesliga. I think all four Champions League places are confirmed, and the title is also confirmed. So rest all the leagues, either the title is not confirmed or the Champions League places are not confirmed. So we'll discuss about the Premier League, and so there were a lot of matches in the Premier League. Especially there were some important midweek fixtures, like pending matches that had to be conducted, and the first one we'll talk about is Man United versus Leicester City. Elijah, what do you want to?
Yeah, so Manchester United versus Leicester City. The thing we have to realize is that yeah, Man U did lose against Leicester. It was an important game and they lost. They did lose against Liverpool. It was an important game and they lost. But you also have to understand the fixture congestion that they are experiencing right now is unlike any other team right now, at least according to me. Because like maybe also Chelsea to some extent, but then they have to play so many games and almost all of them are important. But it's good that they won games before because they are still able to maintain their standings at the second, and they have a 4 point gap with the team behind them. So yes, they did lose, but then they still have maintained that position. But it would have been better if they had won. They would have like warded off competition. But we also have to understand, like I said, that there were a lot of other fixtures.
They already secured the Champions League football, so I think the title is also done. So basically, and the only competition other than they have to focus is the Europa League, which they're already in the final. So as of now, I think it's okay if you have a little bit of slip, as long as you maintain. And for the people who don't know, it's very important to finish in first, second in the Champions League basis, because there's something called as seeding in there. So first and second place teams are seeded separately. So if you're first or second, there's less likely chance you'll be put in a tough group. So if you finish fourth or third, it's more likely, especially if your club coefficient is low. So it's very important to finish second, and it's much more easier to go through to the next round. So yeah, next game also I think is very very big game again, Chelsea versus Arsenal.
Mm.
So Chelsea had, like, if Chelsea had won this game, I think they would have had their future in their hands, their future of playing in the Champions League, but they did not win the game. And credits to Arsenal, they just scored just only one goal involved in the game, and they managed to hold on. Chelsea had lots of possession, everything they had, but couldn't find the finishing touch in the game. And now it seems like, since Leicester also won, and I think in the next game we are going to come to Liverpool versus Man U also, Liverpool also won, so it's put more pressure on Chelsea to win the remaining two fixtures. Elijah, over to you.
But yeah, I agree with every single thing that you've said. But I think this is something of a managerial decision. I'm not saying that they planned to lose. They were playing the national style of football only, and they had more shots. Everything was good, but they couldn't finish and they couldn't win the game. And Arsenal, after they scored the goal, they managed to hold on till the end of the game. He scored at like what, the 15th minute or something like that, and then they held on throughout. So. Props to Arsenal for that, but then you also have to think that Chelsea are right now mainly focusing on the big games. And at that point, I don't. Was this game after or before the FA Cup final?
It
I think
was
it was
before
before.
the FA Cup final.
Yeah, so I am pretty sure they
Yeah.
were focusing on that, and I'm not saying that they were taking it lightly on Arsenal, and that's why Arsenal won. No disrespect at all, but they had their priorities straight, and uh, I think like as of now, the focus for Chelsea or any other PL team should be on trying to get a trophy to close out the season, because City has already won the PL and they already have a trophy in that this thing. But Chelsea need to get a trophy, so they were most likely. I'm not saying that that is what happened, but most likely they were focusing on the CL final and the FA Cup final, and because of that, I'm not saying they purposely lost. I'm definitely not saying that, but yeah, that would have been on their minds that, okay, I'm not saying they didn't go full out also. I don't know why I'm saying this again and again. I'm not disrespecting Arsenal or any other fan, but definitely
No,
that thing that would have been on their mind. And it was not like they played with a weak squad either, as far as I know. So yeah, and I think uh, Tuchel trusting Kepa is actually a really good thing, because Kepa was like right at the periphery, and now he's slowly coming back and is proving his worth also in the squad.
he's trusting a lot. He's trusting a lot of people right now. See the amount of trust he is giving to Timo Werner, despite not at all finishing. That's just unbelievable. Like you can't expect that. Like no other manager would have given him that much trust. He's still playing him despite him being not able to finish. So that is actually big respect to Tuchel and believing in his players. So that's very good thing from him. And yeah, so we move on to the next game. So it's a big game. You will say one of the biggest game in England. You could say Man United versus Liverpool, the Northwest Derby. The game that got postponed due to all the violence that happened in Old Trafford. So,
Let's
yes,
not
they
say
were still
violence and all
protesting
because
behind
you're
when
on
the
the
game
side of
was
the fans
happening.
protesting. No, no, we'll not call it violence and all because you're on the side of the fans protesting. We're not condoning the violence, but yeah. So yeah, this game was supposed to be very big, and I didn't think Liverpool had any chance going into the game. I'm like, at the most they're going to draw, but then like from the get go, like after the own goal that went into Bruno Fernandes's account, I thought, okay, that's a bad start already. All of them are like, generally after you concede an early goal, the what should I say, the intensity of the team tends to drop. But then they did not let go at all. They kept pushing and they kept pushing hard, and that's really a thing that I give them credit for. And then Diogo Jota, dude, like they selected him over Mane, and it actually worked. And I understand that Mane is going through a slump, and
Yes.
it obviously merited Jota his place. But then, like, I thought it was a gamble. I thought Jota would have replaced another midfielder and they would have played like a front four in a way. But that didn't happen. Klopp directly replaced Mane with Jota, and then it worked. So it was a good game overall. And I think Man United, I don't know why it didn't look like they were holding back either. They were playing with maximum intensity. But then I think the team that pressed more for it, because Liverpool now seems desperate. So they are actually going all out with every single game, and the next game we're going to talk about of Liverpool comes
Yeah,
back to
they
that
don't
only.
have anything
So
left. Only the Premier League games are left.
yeah, they need to win it to go to the CL, because otherwise they don't get the cash, and maybe some of their players might leave. So they need to go there, and the desperation showed. So all props to Liverpool for winning it, but it was a good game to watch, a very entertaining game to watch, and like the goals were good. Firmino scored two, so that is a prop for me because he's my favorite player of that team other than Van Dijk. And we can move on to the next one if Jitu you don't have anything else to add.
No, that's all. Same thing I wanted to add, and yeah, it was a must-win game for Liverpool, and they have actually put a tons of pressure on Chelsea right now because they're just 1 point behind them. So let's go on to the next game. Yeah, so next game I'd say is
I would definitely say it's a Man City versus
sorry.
Newcastle one. It's inconsequential, but then it was a high scoring game, so it was fun to
Okay.
watch.
Yeah, it was entertaining.
And
Very entertaining game. So
yeah, Man City are Man City,
yeah,
so
you
they
can.
showed their domination. I'm not saying that Newcastle are any a bad team of in any manner, but Man City showed why they are the champions, and they like it was a fun game to watch overall. And Man City never looked like they were out of control. Yes, Newcastle did push them, but Man City saw so much of the ball. Like the ball was always with Man City, and like Newcastle had like what 4 5 shots on target, and out of that they scored 3 goals. So that is something that we have to appreciate them for. But then City also, it's not like they had many shots on target,
Yeah.
but they had good number of attempts. So that's all I can talk about this because we have so many other games to cover. So let's move fast.
Okay, so the next game, I think, rest all, I think the relegation is pretty much confirmed. So there was no relegation battle going on. I think last week itself it was confirmed. All the three teams got relegated, which are Fulham, West Brom, and Sheffield. All are got relegated, and I think so. Brighton is pretty much safe right now, even if they didn't manage to win the next few games. So Yeah, so the next and one of the most we'll go on let's two more games. One is Tottenham versus Wolves. So Tottenham kept alive their chances of going into Europe, and something that really helped them is West Ham slump. They had to share points at Brighton, so that helped them. So now Tottenham have leapfrogged and now they are in sixth position. So everything to play for in the last match day. Over to you, Rajan.
Yeah, so I watched the game because one of my friends is a huge Spurs fan. So we sat and watched. The first half was not that great, and at like halftime, Kane scored. It was a beautiful goal. But then the second half, they came back with a brilliant intensity. Spurs were attacking like beasts. Every half chance they got, they were attacking, and it was good to see Dele Alli back in his natural playing style also, because he
Yeah.
was given the freedom to roam around, he was given the freedom to create, and he utilized it perfectly. It was a good game to watch, a lot of attacking intent from Spurs, because the first half was not like really should I say entertaining for that matter, but second half was very very entertaining because both sides tried as much as possible. And I think the place where Wolves fell short was, it was not that they were not able to make it to the final third. They were able to make it to the final third, but they were not finishing at all. Like Fabio Silva had a dozen chances and everything went wide. And obviously they missed Raul Jimenez, and whenever he comes back, I'm pretty sure the team should improve. But then they were fighting, and it was a good game to watch.
Yeah, again, what do you say? Harry Kane again. He's having his, I think, best season so far. I think both on sides. He's dominating the assist chart and the goals chart right now, and maybe with the shout of player of the season in the Premier League this season. So and sad to see him still without a trophy so far. And what do you say? Will he make a move next season or will he stay in Spurs?
I think yesterday also he said that yeah, I wanted to move. So he reiterated the fact that he wanted to move. But the problem right now is the market. I don't know who will buy him, who has the cash to buy
Yeah.
him. But that's a conversation for a whole different topic. We can go back to it in
Man
the off
City
script.
maybe.
Man City, sure they can.
Yeah, we'll
They
go back.
need a striker now that Aguero is
Yeah.
going, like an out and out striker. But we'll talk about that in the off script.
Yeah, Liverpool
I'll,
versus Russia. How did I miss?
yeah, so it
Okay, sorry.
it really was desperation galore.
Yeah,
I'll
it
go first
was.
because I watched the game. I watched four games that day. Sunday, no, I watched the
Yeah,
Spurs game. I watched the
yeah,
Liverpool game. I watched the Barca game side by side, and then I watched the UCL Women's League final. And the Liverpool game, no, all credits to West Brom, because the first chance they got, they pounced on it and they scored. And then immediately you could see that they had
yeah,
no intention of, like, what should I say, letting go of the lead at all. The second after they scored the goal,
yeah,
six people are back. There are six people back instantly. And it was so congested to get in, like it was impossible for Liverpool to push. They tried, and they kept trying throughout, and like till that Mane passed to Salah, which gave the goal. It was virtually impossible to
yeah,
even get a touch inside their penalty area. But and the chances they got also, they were putting wide because it was so tight, they didn't have the space or the freedom to shoot. But all credits to West Brom because they had a tactic and they tried to stick to it. And I thought the game was done. I'm like, done, done, done. Then they're like, oh, last we got a corner. I'm like, okay, let's see what will
yeah,
happen. Let's see what will happen. Then Alisson slowly runs off. I'm like, okay, he's coming slowly only. Then he takes the corner. I see the ball inside. I blinked and I missed Alisson jumping and touching the ball. I'm like opening, the ball is inside. I went shouting all around hostel, taking my shirt off. I'm like, hey, we scored. Because it was such a sensational goal, and I think that kept us in the hunt for the CL spots. And
yeah.
other than
Definitely.
that, being a goalkeeper, Jittu, what do you think of that goal?
No, no, there's this like that's something you'll never expect out of it. Came out of nowhere. So you've seen this before. Goalkeepers going up millions of times. You've seen that, and most of the time, you won't see a goal. Even when you see a goal, it'll be like the ball will ricochet around, and fortunately, the goalkeeper will be there and he'll kick the ball. And so that's how you've seen. But this is like a perfectly timed header. It was so perfect and it went to the corner also. It was not even a straight header and the goalkeeper, opposition goalkeeper mistimed it or something like that. This was like a perfectly timed header and nothing the goalkeeper could do. It's like, how a proper finisher would finish, and it was a beautiful goal, and it is by far the most crucial goal in Liverpool season by now. So well done to Alisson, I'd say. Okay, yeah. So Serie A. So it was a pretty eventful week in Serie A. You had a big clash. What do you say? Uh, the Derby d'Italia, so Juventus versus Inter Milan. So it was a pretty controversial game. Lots of things are happening. Two red cards. I don't know. Like the refereeing was like too harsh, maybe like both the teams. So Juventus were desperate because they had to win this game, otherwise they are confirmed playing in the Europa League. So they went with everything, and this is the first time I think we've seen some sort of a fight from Juventus trying to go for it because they were up against their back. And yeah, so they opened the scoring through Cristiano Ronaldo, and what do you call? This match is peculiar because despite winning the penalty, Ronaldo didn't take the penalty. So that was actually weird to see first time. So he allowed the guy who won the penalty to take Juan Cuadrado, and it was what do you call? Ronaldo scored first. Lukaku equalized with another penalty, and again next Juan Cuadrado converted again, and next Chiellini's
Own
own
goal,
goal
yeah.
brought Inter back in. Yeah, and in the 88th minute, Juventus got the penalty we were talking about. And I think beyond that, it was too hard to come back for Inter because they were already down to 10 men. After that, like 19 plus 2, Marcelo Brozovic was sent off. Yeah, a bit of an unnecessary thing. And yeah, this game for Inter, maybe it's just for bragging rights, like who's the top dog here. Uh, but for Juventus, I think they had to give everything, and it's
It
good to
was a
see that
must-win
from
game
Juventus,
because
something they've been lacking throughout this.
yeah, it was a must-win game
Yeah.
because Juventus has players like Ronaldo, Dybala, and all, and they have huge salaries. So you need the cash that comes from Champions League to pay for these players. So they had to win it,
Definitely.
and like I don't watch the games, I just watch the highlights and the extended highlights. So I don't know the exact intensity which they played, but I saw the goals, and it was a good game overall. And like Juventus were desperate because you could see the number of shots they were taking. Like every opportunity they got, they're like, let's go, let's go, let's go, and it reflected. And eventually they managed to hold on to win. And like the two, I agree with Jitu in saying that maybe the refereeing was a bit too harsh, but then it's a big game, so things like that keep happening. Yes, Jitu, next game.
Yeah. So the next game is also an important game. There's actually a lot of games in this, and we have to compress. So Napoli versus Fiorentina was a good game, and I think on winning that, Napoli pretty much are in pole position to seal their fate in the upcoming next Champions League. So hats off to them. They had a late resurgence. They were a bit down at the beginning of the season, and they've come back very strongly. And now they're ahead of Milan, and they're actually in third position right now. And it's very highly unlikely that they'll slip from there. And moving on to the one of the most important rivalries, I'd say the Derby del Capitale, if I'm not wrong. I've recently only learned the name, so it's Roma versus Lazio. Crucial game for both teams. Very crucial game. Roma is still in the hunt for a possible Europa League position, even though it's very far ahead. But yeah, and you can say bragging rights to the city. So it's still much harder for Roma because they're still 6 points behind Lazio, who are actually at sixth. And yeah, it was actually a pretty much dominant game. And Edin Dzeko was the star of that game. He's still doing it. Brilliant work he's doing. I think the first goal, the way he brought control the ball was going out. So much grit and determination he showed, and you look at his age, it's brilliant. And he's been playing for so long for Roma, and he's one of the most underrated players, you'd say. He's such a hard-working guy, and he has to be, even though he didn't score a goal, he has to be the star of the game. And of course, Henrik Mkhitaryan, he has been in brilliant form for Roma this season. Going back to his old days, he's kicking in with goals, assists, and also a great comeback season for him this time as well. And Lazio, I mean, they did try, but they were not clinical enough, and in the end, they had to suffer. Even though they're still in pole position to qualify for Europa, it's the local derby, and bragging rights are a big thing. Yeah, over to you, Raj.
Yeah, I'll talk about the next game, Napoli versus Fiorentina, because I watched the highlights of this one. Napoli need to win because
Okay.
that hunt for the top four spots is like extremely tight. Anyone who slips misses out the Juventus. And like Milan and Napoli are right at that stage. They're like 1 point ahead of Juventus, if I'm not wrong. And like Juventus are right
Yeah.
behind them. They're like touching distance. So anybody who slips, Juventus go up. So Milan is at risk. Napoli is at risk. So Napoli needed to win that, and they won it. And it was a good game overall for Napoli. And Fiorentina, I'm not saying they are pushovers because they were a big team once upon a time. But yeah, Napoli completely dominated the game. They were taking shots like at every chance they got. Only a few of them were on target though. But yeah, they took a lot of shots, and then it shows in the
Yeah.
scoreline that they completely dominated the game.
One important Milan game was there.
Exactly.
So I don't know what is happening in Milan. Like Cagliari are a team that is languishing in the bottom of the table. You're supposed to win against them, and they could have closed the deal with this game, and they didn't find a goal. So many shots, so many chances. They just weren't clinical enough. And now we'll see if it comes back and bites them, because the last game is super hard, because they are playing second place Atalanta, who are in beast mode right now, and they are in the cup final. They are like on some steroids or something. They are playing. So we'll see if they play like this against Cagliari. I don't know how they'll do against Atalanta.
And
And
the
I honestly don't want to see them slip up at this point. It's too bad. Yeah.
The thing we have to understand is,
Yeah,
like
continue.
I was saying, Milan is at such a tough spot right now. They have to win, and they were at top of the league for so long. At the year end, I think change of the year, and people are like, "Oh, it's finally AC Milan's time,"
Yeah.
but then Inter took over. So they have, if nothing else,
Yeah.
I know that they have not like performed at their best, but they were performing for at least a while ago, and now they're slipping up very badly. And I understand that yeah, Zlatan is not there, but it's not like the team completely relied on Zlatan all the time. Yes, Zlatan was an important factor of their resurgence,
Yeah.
but it's not like they were completely reliant on him. So they should have found a way. And this game was not convincing at all in any format, because let me just pull up the table here to get my facts right. Cagliari is even 16th. I'm so sorry. Cagliari is 16th, 37
Yeah.
points. Milan has 76 points. That's 40 points more. That's more than double.
Yeah.
And you are playing against a team like that, and you have tough fixtures next. Like, if they want to keep,
Yeah.
because everyone now I've seen so many memes of Ronaldo playing in the Europa League after going to Juventus. But if Milan keeps playing like this, it's them who have to play in the Europa League, and we're going to see Zlatan again in the Europa League. So it's not a good prospect for them, and they have to start bucking up very soon if they have any chance. Yes, Jitu.
Yeah. The same thing only, I think it's very important for them to finish, because otherwise they'll lose many of these players right now. Top clubs will come and snatch and go, and again they have to start rebuilding again, and it's not good. If they qualify for Steel, it's a different thing. The players will stay because you're playing in the Champions League. Making players stay is like, it's very much influenced by if you're playing Champions League football or European football. It's very important. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums up Syria. It's the three-way battle for the Champions League positions. It could any one of them could drop out as of now. Only Atalanta and Milan have confirmed. So yeah, we'll move on to the Bundesliga. So yeah, the Bundesliga, I think it was relatively calm. The first and second are, I think, almost confirmed. It's very less likely that anyone, Bayern and Leipzig will drop down. I guess Bayern already is having sealed the title, and Leipzig are pretty much set to be finishing in second place, despite whatever happens in last match day. So yeah, so an important game that was actually Schalke versus Frankfurt. So Frankfurt had to win this game if they have any chance of going to the next like Champions League, and they lost it. It was a very high scoring game though, 4-3, but I think that pretty much sealed their fate, and they will be playing in the Europa League. And also the fact that Dortmund won against Mainz. Over to you, Elijah. Anything I want?
Yeah, again, I have not watched the games fully. I only watched the Pokal final, and I've watched highlights before recording the podcast because I have to have some context of what I'm talking. And obviously, people might comment and say like, yeah, highlights are
Yeah.
not the whole story. So that's why Jittu talks more about Bundesliga than me. So yeah, Bayern, like we already congratulated them last season, last episode for winning the season again. But then you also have to put into context the second place and the gap between them. This is a 10-point gap. And Leipzig are slipping up again and again and again for, I don't understand for what reason. Like, it's not like the team is bad. And like they not the midfield as far as I've seen, like I watched full replays before I'm making this comment, so not like I'm not watching the game. I have seen the full replays of the games.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things with Leipzig is no, their midfield is not able to like
Yeah.
be compact and keep hold of the ball. Like generally nowadays, I think this is a topic for another episode. But I wanted to talk about how either the games, like the past maybe 2-3 years, either the games are going to be like super high scoring, or it's going to be like 1-1 or 0-0 on either side. It'll be a draw. Both sides will take tons of shots and no one will score. So either it's going to be like a finishing, what should I say, masterpiece, or it's going to be like a finishing disaster. There's no in between. Like every team is like that, and I think the core of that comes from the midfield. And I understand that midfields are not what they used to be like maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, but Leipzig are second in the league and they have climbed up consistently. They should be able to hold their own against. I'm not saying that other teams are smaller or worse, but Leipzig are the number two now. Dortmund has slipped. So and they're not justifying their position in the league at all. Like the games that I watched, two games, the one against Wolfsburg and the one Pokal final also. I watched this one also, the one against Dortmund, the one that they lost.
Yeah, they played Dortmund twice. Yeah.
So
Before
in
that,
both of
in the
these
league
things,
also.
no, they were not like you have to dominate your midfield to progress the ball forward. Okay, your midfield is not being that creative, fine. At least your midfield should be able to defend. The only thing that happens is the ball goes right through the midfield. Like that center part of the field is not existent at all. The ball just goes through, and then Upamecano has to run back, clear from there. Upamecano has to run back, clear from there. Like next season is going to go. Who are you going to fall back on? Like that is not how a number two team is
Yeah,
supposed to
so-
play. I understand there's a gulf in quality between the top team and you, but even among the midfield, like the second, like the Champions League spot teams, I think over the last maybe 2-3 weeks, Dortmund is proving to be a better team than Leipzig. Like any day, Dortmund has wanted to get into the CL spots no matter what, and they've consistently want to get there. On the other hand, Leipzig have lost two, I think drawn two, and then something like that. So, like
They are horrible. They have the worst record, I think, among the top four teams in the last 4 weeks.
Like I
Really
understand that your manager is
bad.
leaving.
Consistently losing.
I understand that one of your star players is leaving. Yes, like there will be some problems in the team, some problems with their gelling up and their all of that. But we don't expect such a steep drop off. I know that no matter what they're going to finish in the Champions League spots either way. But like I genuinely don't feel they have earned the second spot. Maybe if Dortmund were a little, even marginally better in the middle of the season, no, Dortmund would have finished second easily. and you could see that very easily in the Pokal final. That like Dortmund were clearly the better team on that day. Like they were clearly the better team, at least
Yeah.
according to me. It may be slightly biased, but they were
Yeah.
clearly the better team. And the other thing is, if Nagelsmann is going to go to Bayern, what is this record to show? Like, what are you going to say? What did you do for the past 10 games before you came here? I have lost 5, I have drawn
Yeah.
3, I have won 2. Like, that's going to be very bad for people to look at. So, maybe at least in the last game day, they
Yeah.
might have to improve so he can finish on a high. But then, all props to Dortmund for finishing the season well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, coming to Dortmund, I'd say, oh my, I don't know how they came back. They were struggling to get into Europa League places at one point. They suffered 10 losses in the league, I think so. I think no team in the top 4, I think, has lost that many games. 10 games they have lost. I think only Frankfurt recently only overtook them. And from that to come back, and now I think they are assured of third place, no matter if they have won the next game. So it's remarkable, and hats off to the management of Edin Terzic, and something which Lucien Favre was lacking. He had lost control of the dressing room, no communication with the players, and Edin Terzic, he is being a Dortmund boy, he knew what to do and he knew how to boost up the players. Not much, the confidence among the players increased significantly, especially that of Jadon Sancho and Marco Reus. They've seen a phenomenal rise over the past 1 month or 1.5 months. They're consistently involved in goals right now, like such a good form. Earlier it was just about Erling Haaland. Now it's different. It's not Erling Haaland. It's these two guys who are scoring, and they've just bounced back. At first, it was last week, I think, the win against Leipzig. Then this match day, the win against Mainz also. Remember, Mainz is not a bad team. See, Mainz is a team that beat Bayern 2 weeks back. So they play very good. They were the giant killers because they've beaten all the teams except Dortmund in the top 7 half of the table. So it was not an easy fixture at all. So Dortmund came there and they just dominated the game. Nothing else to say from that. They just dominated the game, and yeah. And I wish to see all these players in this squad, and I wish to see this style of football from Dortmund. And
The,
next Champions League, I hope they can maintain this, and I hope Royce doesn't get injured. That's all.
the thing that
Yeah.
we also have to give Dortmund props for is their present manager is an interim manager. And I'm not saying this is like Dortmund back to how they were used to playing, but they are definitely on the way because they are playing with more confidence. They are not because who was under Favre, or how you pronounce his name, they were only attacking through the middle. It was like a very rigid philosophy in which they were playing with like a very unflexible style which doesn't work. And now they seem to be like
Yeah.
more confident, more creative, and all of that. And Sancho is back to being at his not like maybe not his best, but definitely he's improving a lot since the start of the season when he was experiencing that horrible slump. And like
Yeah.
definitely credits for them because they needed to win and they kept consistently providing, and they also won the Pokal, which is great. But there's one other team that I definitely have to talk about. We talked about it at the beginning of the year. I had very high hopes for this team called Leverkusen. Where the hell are these guys? What on earth are they doing? They kept drawing throughout for like so many games. Then they lost in between, and then they're like, we'll draw. Then they lost again, and they're drawing again. They went like, I was completely sure they would finish at least in the top 4. They're not even a Europa League spots now. I like, I understand that, yeah, Havertz is
Yeah,
not there,
they're
so
in sixth. Yeah, okay. So Leverkusen, I don't know. You have a saying in Germany, like Leverkusen will Leverkusen or something like that. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Leverkusen are not destined to win any title at all, and it's like they're just justifying it. You want to see the what you call the German version of Tottenham, you look at Leverkusen. Leverkusen is the German version of Tottenham FC. It's even worse. They are I don't know how they consistently manage to do it. They're in a prime position. They are sometimes even favorites, and they just bottle it. They were remember this was a team that was top of the Bundesliga during the halfway point. They were above Bayern in the Bundesliga, and they were so dominant they were playing, and now they are in sixth. And I don't think they can. The Champions League is out now. All they can do is hold on to the Europa League spots, and as of now they are in sixth position. And yeah, same goes to another good team that was actually playing very good football, Mönchengladbach. They are also struggling. Lots of draws, unnecessary losses. Mönchengladbach will go beat a big team, they'll lose to a small team. That's the problem with them. And yeah, that has been their season, both for Leverkusen and Mönchengladbach. Underwhelming in terms of the second half of the season. Yeah, so
Are we moving on to the next league?
Do you have anything? We'll just discuss a small record that has been made in the Bundesliga.
Small record, it
Not a
seems.
very
Yes, of
important
course.
game though. Yeah, it's not a big thing. Sorry, not a big game, but yeah, the record was phenomenal, and Bayern did end up drawing 2-2 to Freiburg, but Robert Lewandowski, he does it again. 40 goals in the league, a record that almost stood 50 years, and it's been a long time, and even the guy who scored the record will never know that his record is being equaled, because it's very sad to say, but if any of you don't know, Gerd Muller is suffering from dementia right now, and he has been out of football, and he's in his home, I think, since the last 3 years. So that is a sad part of this, and yeah. And it's good to see Lewandowski giving a tribute to Gerd Muller after he scored the goal, and yeah. And it has not been a small thing also. See, Muller took 34 games to achieve the record. Lewandowski, many people thought he wouldn't be do it because he missed 4 games straight without because of his injury, and obviously the Champions League also. And people thought maybe not again. He's just unlucky, but he stepped up. He stepped up big time. I think a hat trick in the last game really boosted his hopes, and now he's done it. So hats off to him. And yeah.
Yeah, if the Ballon d'Or is still on, which most likely it is, he's definitely going to win. They robbed him last year. So, yes. What was I saying?
Yeah,
To put Lewandowski's achievement into perspective, he scored 40 goals in 28 games, 26 games? What is that? 26, no?
28 games.
28 games. Messi at his maximum, I think he scored like 50 goals or something. But like when he generally, on average, if he scores 40 goals and all, it takes him the full season to do that. Lewandowski has missed matches, and in 28, he scored 40 goals. For anybody who plays any sort of football, even if you play it in your gully, you know how difficult it is to finish, let alone at the highest level.
Yeah.
And like, if he broke such a big record that has been standing for I don't know how many years after being injured and coming back, because everyone, when they come back, they take some time to again reach their peak. This guy played like he was never out only. He is like, I've been training my whole life for this, so I should be, and then he did. So salute, because that is something that cannot be taken lightly. And if we get a vote, one day we will become a big enough YouTube channel where we can vote for the Ballon d'Or, and we'll definitely vote for people like Lewandowski, and he deserves to definitely win this.
That pretty much sums up Bundesliga, and obviously RB Leipzig. I think we mentioned their draw against Wolfsburg, and not a pretty significant, but significant for Wolfsburg because they are in the Champions League right now, and we just quickly go through that. That's I don't think we have a little bit shortage of time, so we have to discuss the League One also. So we'll move on to the League One game. So League One. I don't know how many of you actually follow this league, but it's actually very, very interesting this time around. All the 4 teams have been pretty much around the same level. They're pretty much equal. You look at the number of wins for each team, 23, 25, 24, 22. So it's just neck to neck. It's like slightest of margins. So the gap between the first and the fourth is just 4 points. That's very tight. I think only La Liga has a little more tighter. So it's a great to watch. And last week one of the important games, there was no direct clash between this top four teams. It was with the other teams, mostly mid-table and bottom. So one of the important games was actually PSG versus Reims and Lille versus Saint Etienne. So yeah, first I'll discuss about PSG versus Reims. So I think we all expected PSG to win because Reims are not a team that is in the top half. They're in the bottom of the table. They're in 13th, and they pretty much dominated the game, especially after it was proving hard for them because Reims got a red card at the 10th minute and they played the rest of the game with 10 men against PSG, which is not at all easy. So they eventually struggled and they considered four. So that pretty much sums up the PSG was the Reims game. Like, you have anything to add on?
I just watched the highlights of this game also, so I'm not going to make any extensive comments, but I'm going to make a comment about the title race in general. This also is down to the very last day,
Yeah.
like it's in the La Liga, because we're not going to cover La Liga because there's not enough time. For status update, PSG is just 1 point behind Lille, so the last game day, whoever wins, it is up to them. Their fate is in their own hands. So either
Yeah.
team, whichever team wins among PSG or Lille, they are going to take the league. So that's down to the wire. And I genuinely hope Lille
Yeah.
wins because PSG need a rude wake up call to finally realize no, we don't control everything anymore, and we need to actually work hard everywhere to reach the standard that we are. And just
Yeah.
not, I'm not saying that
Yeah.
their team is only made up of expensive signings, but it is one of the reasons why they have climbed to such a stage in world football. So I think this will be a good wake up call for them to realize that yes, we also need to work on our tactics and not only on star signings, and we can't depend on them all the time. The other thing
Yeah.
is going back to the La Liga. Is there
Yeah.
anything to talk about League One? La Liga, I'll just finish up in
Yeah.
like 1 minute. League One, anything else?
Yeah. League One, I think rest is like Monaco's resilience. I think since last season has been good. It from a Bayern outcast coach. I don't know if you know Nico Kovac. So it has been a good showing of playing from them. I mean, he did this literally the same thing he did at Frankfurt with Monaco. Brought them from, I think, near battling for relegation, very bottom down in the table, and they've been very good this season. A good bunch of players. They bought in an aging Fabregas, Kevin Volland. It's a good bunch of players, and it actually worked out for them. So hats off to them also. So is Lyon. So it's very tight at the top, but I think Monaco and Lyon are effectively out of the title race. There's a little to none chance of them going through. Even if Lille lost and PSG drew or something, Monaco still doesn't have a chance. And Lyon also are finishing their league on a high, but there's actually a competition between Monaco and Lyon on who will finish in the Champions League, the Europa League group stage. So basically, Ligue 1 has only 2 Champions League slots,
Put your mask on.
and the third place team will get a group stage position in the Europa League, and fourth will get only into the qualifying rounds of the Europa League. So I think Lyon will be pushing for the third spot, and Monaco also has another chance for qualifying to the Europa League, which is through the Coupe de France, final between against PSG. That will be a very interesting game, especially because Monaco are in good form. Yeah, that pretty much sums up the Liga, and we'll move on to La Liga. Yeah.
Yeah, so La Liga, there's not much to talk. I'm just putting in a shout in because, like last episode, Advait and Jitu had agreed that nobody wants it Italy. They're just trading it around, and Barcelona definitely said it is not ours. Please take it. Like every game that they have tried to come back, made a comeback, whatever it is, they just bottled it, and like they are already out of the title race
Yeah.
because I thought they will draw. At least they will draw. That also was not in their capacity apparently because they lost. And to who did they lose? Celta
Yeah.
Vigo. They lost to Celta Vigo. I am not saying any of these teams are bad. No disrespect to any team. But you are a team that won the Champions League like what 5-6 years ago. I'm not saying your main core of players is still there or anything of that sort. But you apparently have one of the greatest players to have ever played the game. Apparently, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. It does not reflect one iota in their style of play. Their defense is shabby at best.
Yeah.
Midfield, they keep trying. It doesn't work out.
Clement Longley.
Dude, Longley, no, I don't know why they renewed his contract last year. Dude, there's so much money down the drain. The second he signed that contract, no, he went crap. They made Umtiti play like 1 or 2 games back, then he was also crap. PK will try, but how long can this? I'm not calling him
Yeah.
like a super old man, but he's aging. You can't expect him to keep delivering. You need to make signings. And the other problem is, Koeman's style is not working. He tries to keep playing the 3-5-2 again and again and again. It doesn't work. Keep failing. It keeps failing again and again. And he still sticks to it and he keeps failing.
Yeah.
So at some point there should be a wake up call, and there are calls that he might be sacked and some new manager will come in. I don't know who wants to coach Barcelona at this point in time, or for the last 3 years for that matter. I don't know which coach will willingly come into a team where they know that they're not going to stay long term. So
Yeah.
I don't know, like Barcelona is out now, and we have to give so much credit for Real and Atleti, because Atleti, they were
Atletico.
one down.
Oh my God, Atletico.
What a
Yeah, I thought
comeback,
Real won
dude.
the title because
Yeah, I thought it's done. Okay, Real is
yeah,
done.
Real
Then,
were leading.
and
Real
you know,
were leading. Real were leading 68 minutes.
there's a poetic justice in Suarez sending Atleti to the top. No, the team that let him go crashed out of the title
Yeah,
race,
oh.
and the very person they let go took his present team to the top of the table. Like,
Yeah.
and there are talks of Sergio Aguero
It's
being
just
signed
insane.
to Barca. Like, logic, no.
Yeah.
And like, Real played.
Both are almost the same age. What are you thinking?
Exactly my point. Like,
No, both are the same age. Yeah.
and if anything, Aguero is more injury prone than Suarez, according to me. Like, I don't see him for such
Definitely,
extended
yeah.
periods in the Man City team. And Real, no,
Yeah.
like, definitely it should have been a very easy game for them. I'm not saying that Bilbao is like a walkover
Yeah.
club or anything, but definitely it should have been an easy game.
No,
But then they were also not at their fluent best. And who had to score for them? Their defender had to score for them. Nacho scored, and that's how they went into this thing. And
So,
uh, it just outlines
So
the
much
struggle of the
drama.
Spanish teams in general. Like, no team, you can outright say yes, they deserved it. But if any of the two teams that deserve to win the La Liga, if there are any two teams that deserve to win the La Liga, it definitely has to be Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, because Barcelona were never in there. It's like they never wanted the title only. We're like, playing for the sake of playing. You send us into the CL spots is more than enough. So they were definitely playing like that. But Real have that desire. They have that, like, what should I say, passion to like, no, we have to win. No,
pushed
we
it
have
to
to
the
win.
final day.
It's down to the wire, especially
Pushed
these
it to
two
the
leagues.
final
No,
day and- yeah.
France and Spain. No, I
the
am
thing is
definitely
that
these
it's-
games. I'm definitely going to watch no matter what. However boring I think they are, however I do not like Real Madrid, I'm definitely going to watch that game because I want to see who wins. And in all fairness, I genuinely think it will be Real Madrid who will win, not because Atleti is not capable, but because Real are just a big team like that. They just perform when the pressure is on them. So I genuinely think that Real is going to take the trophy home,
Yeah.
and they anyway wanted a trophy for the season. They at least have one trophy per season anyway. So
No, I might have a little another point against this because Real Madrid are playing Villarreal. So if you look at last game, Villarreal just beat Sevilla 4-0. They
Ah,
destroyed
that is also
Sevilla
one thing I
out of
wanted to
nowhere,
point
and
out.
Sevilla, no.
Hey, what happened to Sevilla? They
Yeah.
lost 4-0
They
to
just
Villarreal. I'm not saying
destroyed
Villarreal is a
Sevilla.
bad team again. I'm definitely not saying Villarreal is a bad team,
But
but
definitely, no, they're in the final. They're final in the final of the Europa League.
Europa League,
They're
exactly.
the only Spanish team that.
and if anybody had any doubts
only
as
Spanish
to
team in the
why,
European final.
yeah, if you have any doubts about the quality of Villarreal, go back and watch their games against Arsenal. I'm not saying they were brilliant games and all, but they held on to win.
They were
And
organized. They were very organized. Yeah.
if there's any other team that I genuinely appreciate from the big three in Spain, the Atleti, Real, and Barca, it has to be Sevilla. And they convincingly bet Sevilla. They bet the crap out of Sevilla. 4-0 is not a small thing at all. I was like, when the Barca game is going on, they keep showing the scores at the bottom. No, I'm like, Sevilla is down 4. And it's not like Sevilla were on the back foot also.
4-0, yeah.
They had marginally better position and they did take quite a lot of shots. But again, that's what I was talking about. Like, you take shot, but none of them is finishing. So I think that's the problem. But definitely props to Real and
So
Atleti.
it will be interesting because you know who are facing Real Madrid last week. It's Villarreal versus Real Madrid, and Atletico Madrid are actually facing a team in who is going to be relegated. So it's going to be interesting. So if Atletico lose to Valladolid or if they draw to Valladolid, that will be the ultimate bottling of the century. That I will not forgive you, Atletico Madrid. I will not
Ultimate
forgive you
bottling of the
because you are
century. Yeah.
facing a relegation. Yeah, Valladolid are confirmed relegated. I think so. I think 31 points. I don't think they will be able to make it through to the next time. It's too far ahead of them. I don't think it's too hard unless and until Huesca or something they lose a game. It's very hard. Even if they win, also it's not in their hands. So you have to win this Atletico Madrid and Real having a tough game also. They are against Villarreal who are in seventh in the league right now and they're in tremendous form. So it's going to be very interesting La Liga and as well as Ligue 1. Yeah. That's all with the leagues. There are actually two cup finals and the UWCL final. And any points on that?
Go a little fast because we already had 50 minutes. So yeah, the UCL final I was very excited because if you see the La Liga, the women's league stats, the Barca Femini team
Yeah.
had insane stats. They had like they played what 36 games or something like that, and they had some 125 goals scored
They
and
haven't
5
lost
conceded.
any.
No. That is also
Yeah.
different, Ra. They didn't lose.
Yeah.
Yes, they're unbeaten. Yes, they have an insane tally of numbers. They have scored 125 goals and conceded 5. Conceded 5
Yeah.
in 30 odd games. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, Chelsea is a good team. Let's see what happens in the final.
And
First half,
Chelsea
they
is
bet
not a
them
bad
back
team.
and
Chelsea is
blew.
the champion of England.
Yeah, no, I'm not
Chelsea
saying
is the
that.
champion of England.
No, I wanted them to prove themselves against a big team. So I am like, okay, the league stats
Yeah,
are good. Let's see
yeah.
what happens in the UCL. We'll see what will happen. They went first half only, they were 4-0 up. I'm like, okay, what just happened here? And it was a beautiful game to us. They didn't score again in the second half, but I'm pretty sure 4-0 is a pretty good thrashing for a final.
Yeah.
And I genuinely appreciate them for
For a
Barca, but
I was shocked. I was literally shocked. No, it has to do with a little bit of like Chelsea. No, Barca were extremely good, but Chelsea, I don't know, they just lost the fight after the first half or something. No, sorry, first few minutes. That own goal penalty considered, they didn't know what to do. They were like
yeah, but that
shell-shocked
own goal was genuinely
and I
very
think Barca
disappointing. They
had
should have done better. They could have done better.
yeah yeah that's that's very sad and I think that goes to show I think Barca had a little bit more experience in the final. They just played last year's season in the final and they just had the little edge over Chelsea who were playing their first final. And yeah, it's still the beginning of something. They still have a lot of time and finally we have seen a champion other than Olympic Lyon in the last 5 years in the UWCL. So that's a huge change and let's see more
And
champions,
Barcelona,
in
interesting
the
stat.
following
Barcelona are
season.
the only club
We'll
to
just-
have the men's CL and the women's CL. Like, I'm not saying together, but they are
Yeah,
the
that's-
only club to have won both the CLs.
Won it both. Yeah,
Yeah, so-
that's very significant because the UWCL has a different hierarchy compared to the men's Champions League. So the teams who usually win the UWCL, you won't expect them like their men's teams are very bad. So it's different. And yeah, we'll move on to the FA Cup. Anything
Yes,
to add
exactly.
on?
That is one game
Say
that-
that's a yeah.
It was weird on so many levels because clearly neither team like outright deserved to win. And I think for
Yeah.
like some parts Chelsea were the more dominant team, but then like
Yeah.
the disallowed goal didn't help, VAR didn't help, and in a way, like people keep saying, yeah, Leicester were lucky. In a way, Leicester were lucky, but then they also held on to win. So were they really lucky? Because they had, I felt they had a little bit more drive to somehow hold on and win. So I think in some ways maybe they deserve to win, but I'm not saying Chelsea in any way deserve to win the title any less. So yeah.
Yeah, so it was a little bit of controversy towards the end of the game. I think that goal, I mean, yeah, you can say VAR has been harsh to all the teams, so I don't think It has been harsh to many teams because of this millimeter offside and all. So I think there's something they have to look upon in the next season, because many teams have suffered because of it. And right now Chelsea also, it cost them a cup maybe. So not saying it's against the decision, it's the final decision of the referee, and can't oppose it also. So yeah, I think they can have to little bit amend on this millimeter, at least, unless and until it's like a foot or a huge amount of like a part of your body is offside. I think the others, I think, can be given. It's like so tight. So we move on to the DFB Cup, and I don't think there's much to discuss. So I expected an even fight, but it ended up becoming so one-sided that I pretty much knew pretty much the game was finished when Dortmund scored their third goal. Leipzig didn't have anything to show up, and what a season to remember for Dortmund fans. From where they come to where. So all credits to Edin Terzic again. I think we've discussed it earlier. Yeah. Anything you want to add on?
I already spoke about this when I was talking about Dortmund. So yes, and I think one thing that we have to always notice, these Germans think so much about their clubs, like they love their club so much. The decision to sack their previous manager, Lucien Favre, was not like a simple one, and they held on to him despite not so great last season, and they finally pulled the trigger this season. And we were not expecting immediate results, but then they had that drive to somehow finish in the CL spots. They pushed, they kept on pushing till they did it, and then that is something you definitely have to appreciate. And they bet Leipzig so convincingly. It was not like a fluke victory. They played so damn well, and they completely deserved to win it. So hats off to them for winning their pokal.
Very good. Yeah, so I think that pretty much sums up everything. Any other games?
I don't think any other games to talk about. It's 1 hour.
We have a big weekend
Yes,
we
yes.
have a big weekend coming up. The final match day. I think Bundesliga, nothing else is there to talk. I think it's mainly La Liga and League One, and the Premier League also, because the match of Liverpool and Chelsea are important. So that is also coming. I think other leagues. I think Premier League has 2 more match days left, if I am not wrong.
Yes.
Only 36 games have been completed, so 2 more match days are left.
So parting question for not only you, Jittu, but anybody else who listens or watches our podcast. Who do you think will make it?
Yeah.
Chelsea, Leicester, Liverpool?
Yeah, so Leicester, I can say Leicester will go through definitely.
Yes.
And,
So who among Chelsea and
between
Liverpool?
Chelsea and Liverpool. Oh my god, that's so tight.
I
think
am calling
both
it.
teams will win.
I am saying Chelsea will go through no matter what happens.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Chelsea will go through. But they have a few.
I also think.
I'm not saying they're going to be like extremely tough fixtures, but they are fairly tough because so much pressure is on them. And beside that, they also have to focus on winning their CL. So, but I still think Chelsea will go through.
Next game, if Chelsea slip up and Liverpool win, I think it is pretty much almost done. I think so after that. So yeah, and Chelsea have the tougher game coming against Leicester City, so it's going to be hard. But I still feel Chelsea have something to prove after 2 consecutive losses. So yeah, Chelsea up for it, and Liverpool narrowly missing out, maybe by 1 point. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, that brings an end to this episode. We are planning a few new series, like we kept saying. So we are still working on the scripts, and we'll be talking about different leagues for people who don't really know how different leagues work. And Jittu is working on them exclusively because I don't know so much about so many leagues. I just know about the European leagues. So Jittu and me will work together, and we'll try and make good and informative videos, but it might take a little long. So that series will take some time. But if you like any of those videos, I don't know when we'll start working on that, but if you like any of those videos, my friend here is telling me to like, subscribe and all that, but please share those videos, because we have a lot of people seeing the videos, but we don't have them staying throughout, so we don't get enough views. And other than that, thank you for supporting our podcast, because we get a lot of plays on our podcast. Thank you for watching whatever videos you're watching, and we are looking for people who know their leagues well. I think Jittu will get into touch with a few people, and we are going to plan one football style videos where we'll go in, like we'll have every week videos where we'll go in 5 minutes about each league, so we don't have to go so deep. But this podcast, as this is us talking in detail about the games that we have watched, will continue. Thank you for watching. This is Elijah signing off.